we talked earlier about evolution. The entire creation is evolving constantly. Because we're evolving, right now, let's say we're moving from fourth into fifth dimension, okay? And the reason why I say that is because we live in a multidimensional reality, and while we're moving from fourth and fifth, other dimensions are moving from 12 to 13, 8 to 9, like that. And it's all happening simultaneously. All of those realities can be occurring vibrationally in this same matrix construct or a different matrix construct. This 3D reality is three-dimensional, so we can touch things, we have things all around us. 3D, okay? That's the reality that we live in. As we move through higher vibrations of reality, that vibration is oscillating at a different higher vibration. So our substance of reality and matter is going to change. The physics are changing. For that matter, the physical body is also changing. It has to alter itself from a low, heavy vibration into a higher vibration. That's why over the past 5-10 years, we're being introduced new diets focusing on a lighter way of living, more plant-based. People are going into more raw food. There has been a significant shift around the entire world, shifting in the food that we're eating, and that is occurring on a vibrational level. And it has to happen because we are evolving and moving through these dimensions. Now, we have many different realities occurring. What may be true for me and you, somebody else is at McDonald's right now, or somebody is binge eating something because of emotional situation. They have no idea what's happening, and that's fine. That's their reality. But if you measure their vibration, it's completely different than somebody that's on a raw plant-based diet, vibrant living. Those are two different dimensions of reality. They are evolving at different rates simultaneously, and that's how we are all working and operating in this reality.
Dimension that you actually experience is like a state of your consciousness.
Exactly. That's exactly how it works, love.
There are, of course, those who do not want us to speak.
Let me think, just let me think.
In fact, even now, orders are being shouted into telephones, and men with guns will soon be on their way.
It's Chancellor Sutler.
Damn it!
Why? Because while the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country, isn't there?
You designed it, sir. You wanted it foolproof. You told me every television in London.
Cruelty and injustice, intolerance and oppression. And where once you had the freedom to object, to think and speak as you saw fit, you now have censors and systems of surveillance coercing your conformity and soliciting your submission.
We need cameras.
How did this happen? Who's to blame? Well, certainly there are those who are more responsible than others, and they will be held accountable. But again, truth be told, if you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into a mirror. I know why you did it. I know you were afraid. Who wouldn't be? War, terror, disease. There were a myriad of problems which conspired to corrupt your reason and rob you of your common sense. Fear got the best of you to remind the world that fairness, justice, and freedom are more than words. They are perspectives.
So we have to start becoming aware of that. How can we talk about an event for certain people, and it talks about, some people are moving over, some people are staying behind. Maybe they are trying to insert this concept of dimensions, and that is very true. And that's why one event can't happen for everybody on this planet. We are all moving and evolving at different rates.
Right.
It's completely up to us. We're living in this 3D reality. And because everything around us is made to create a very specific vibration from each human that provides life support for the beings, that's where we have to start looking at where we can pull away our contribution to that, I guess. Okay. First of all, let's talk about the structures of reality. Okay. In the structures of reality, I mentioned earlier that we lived in a fractalized reality. And that has to do from everything, from what makes us who we are. If we ask the question, who am I really? And we start to see what makes us who we are. We start to have a really nice list of the ways that our reality is fractalized. And it has our parents, our society, our culture, our religion, our financial status, our political standpoint, even that, the country that we're living, the language that we speak. So many different things create who we are and as our identity. And those are as well how our reality is fractalized, because from those things is where our ethics and our beliefs are going to be made from. From that is where our filters of perception are coming from, how our behavior is going to be, how we are going to interact with the world around us. So all of those things, you can say we are a product of our environment then, right? But if our environment is manicured and created in a very specific way, what does that make us?
Who are you? I don't know.
This is why we come to the point of living our lives, and at some point we get completely tired of having a monotonous lifetime, and we decide, we finally realize one day that who we are living our lives, who we are, our identity, what we're doing, isn't even who we wanted to be in the first place. It isn't even who we are.
Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need. We're the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no Great War, no Great Depression. Our Great War is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives.
And that occurs because we start to understand that everything that we have become is a product of our environment instead of who we truly are as a human individual.
They have stolen the heart from inside you. But this does not define you. This is not who you are. You know who you are.
And that's where our entire reality starts to break away. It starts to fall apart like little pieces of a broken plate. All the shattered pieces start to fall apart. And that's where we come into this existential crisis. Oftentimes when we are on our spiritual journey or any journey to find ourselves, we go through some point of an existential crisis. And that is the most important point, because that's where we start to see what's reality and what's truth, right? What's the separation between that reality and what's not? And what we start to realize is that we live in this matrix holographic reality, you can say, of a reality around us that makes up our beautiful, these rooms, the pictures, all the beautiful things that we like, our daily life. And what is the meaning of those things? Who drives those things? Who decided those things are what I want in my life? So in my own personal journey, I went down that path of asking that question. And oh boy, trust me, that took me through the biggest opening I could ever possibly imagine, because I came to a point where everything that I thought was my identity, from the clothes that I wear, to the makeup I'm wearing, to the way I wear my hair, to the things that I was aiming for in my life, my goals, none of those things were things that were truly who I was. It was things that I was doing in order to fit in somehow, seeking approval, and always ultimately finding that love, that ultimate unconditional love that our soul is familiar with. Why? Because we are that. That's who our souls are. We are infinite unconditional love. So we go through this cycle of a lifetime with all of these beliefs that separate us from that knowing, until we wake up and we start to ask the right questions. And that's where we start to recognize this unconditional love, and we start to find it in everything around us. So this matrix reality that we're living in, creating such separation to pull us away from who we truly are, that's where we start to find the work that we need to do. And we're going to take it to an even deeper level, a level of a healing perspective of how the soul needs to heal in all of this. When we start to go down the journey of healing, we start to understand from a multidimensional perspective what happens to the poor human body that is put into this matrix construct to be nothing but feeding this low vibration, this suffering, this loss, this struggle, all of their life to survive in this society where we have to have a job, where we have to be able to pay our bills, our home that we can barely afford, struggle, illness, because we are not healthy anymore, we are stressed out. I mean, look at how our structure, and every single one of us is dealing with this on some level or another. You know, there is a very small percentage of the ones that are able to have abundant lifestyles with money, and yet they struggle on another level, which is an emotional level. There's many different levels. There's no separation. There's no good and bad between that. Everybody is struggling to ultimately find that unconditional self-connection that we all need to find.
And between it all,
Balance and energy. A force.
and inside you,
Inside me. That same force.
So, of course, religion plays another role in that, because they promise this journey into finding the self and finding that love, that protection, that saving of the soul through all of this suffering and pain. And yet we find ourselves without the proper tools to get there until we go into a crisis. And at the end of all of those experiences of life, we find out that ourselves and our inner connection is the best way to get to that, because that's where all the infinite truth is going to be, right? When we are making our choices, from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to sleep, we have to be conscious of this, Billy. Because as you can see, this is why I say that all our thoughts, all our actions, all our emotions are either a contribution to the duality, or they are helping us eliminate that duality. And we eliminate the duality by unifying those separations within ourselves first. Okay? Because once you come to the point of asking who you are, and you are not that, okay, what are you? What are you? You are unconditional love. How do you get to unconditional love? You have to unconditionally love everything about yourself. And that is a journey on its own. It's merging all of those negative aspects. You want to take it further? It's merging the meridian lines in the body, even the way the body works. We have dualities. Everything has duality. We have the masculine and the feminine side of the body. You know, if everything is not working and operating and flowing in a harmonious manner through the body, we become sick. That's happening on all levels: emotional, physical, mental, spiritual. So this matrix is being built in a very complex, intelligent way to create the greatest separation from mankind possible. And that's why I call it an illusion, because the truth is, when you are done experimenting as many roads as you want to take, you're going to end up in the same place of finding that true soul connection. That's why it's an illusion. When we look at that from a healing perspective, of integrating the soul, that's why I call what I do source integration, because literally how we're healing is we're picking up the fractals of our soul. Because energetically, when you shine a light through the broken glass, you know, through all of these fractals of reality, you're going to see many different reflections of that same thing in different places. That's exactly how our soul is in this 3D reality. It comes in through this body, and every experience that it has is a fractal, where the light is, the essence of our soul is being shot in different directions. And that is what causes the soul separation. So when we talk about integrating the soul, we are picking up those fractals that are left behind. How are those fractals left behind? Any trauma, any kind of pain, any moment that the soul has experienced impact is a moment where the soul is fractured, and that fractal is left behind, suspended in that moment. So as you know, we don't live in a timeline that is what we believe to be like this, like a long line. We are constantly moving interdimensionally, and we have the ability of accessing our childhood to provide healing for ourselves, recollecting, cleaning up all of those fractals to integrate them into ourselves. And that's what I do. So when we work on regression, we are coming back to those timelines that have caused that fracture and reintegrating that into whole. We are unbelieving and disbelieving all the beliefs that we have created to become who we are, which is broken.
Eva? Wally? Oh. Eva?